Hi fashion lovers, you're welcome to So Style with GB. In today's tutorial, we are going to be recreating this funnel corset that was made by Precious Apparel. It is very easy and simple. So this video is the drafting video, and the next video will be the detailed sewing of this corset. So if it is something you want to learn, you need to keep watching and watch to the end. And don't forget to like and share this video if you find it very interesting. Let's get started. To get started, we are going to start by drafting the front basic bodies. I have my pattern here. So I have the starting point line, and this is my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, waistline, and the length. So the length I'm working with is 22 inches. My chest line is 8.5. My bust point, shoulder to bust point is 9.5. Shoulder to under bust is 12.5, and shoulder to waistline is 15 inches. Then shoulder to the full length is 22 inches. So on the shoulder line, you divide your shoulder by 2 and mark. On the chest line, you also mark half of your shoulder measurement, and you take a 1-inch shoulder slope, and then you want to go ahead, mark 3 inches on the shoulder line and connect your shoulder measurement. So the next thing is to get the bust circumference. The bust circumference I'm working with is 35 plus 1 inch for ease. That is 36 inches. The front bust is 18. The back bust is 17 inches. So there is always a difference between the front bust and the back bust, because our bust is fuller at the front than at the back. So my front bust is 19. The back bust is 17. So I went ahead to divide the 19 by 2 and marked on my chest line. So from the chest line, you go up by 3 inches on the armhole line, and then go inward by 3/4 of an inch to connect your armhole circumference. So if you want to see a video on how to get your front chest and the back chest, you can go ahead and watch this video showing right on the screen. It will teach you how to get your front bust from the back bust, because your bust is always fuller at the front, so you don't have to divide the bust by 4. So the next thing is to mark half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 7 divided by 2 will give me 3.5. So you want to mark it on the bust point and the under bust. Well, because of the corset we are working with, that was kind of reconnected, so it was kind of redirected. So what I did was, on the bust point I marked 3.5, but on the length I marked 2 inches. So that is why you see the line being slanted. On the bust point, I mark half of my nipple to nipple measurement. On the length, I marked 2 inches, 2 inches. And then you go ahead and connect. So the next thing is to take a dart. So on the under bust, towards the center front, I took a dart of 3/4 of an inch. And towards the other side, I took a dart of 1.25. So the dart intake I took on the under bust and the waistline is 2 inches, but I took a smaller part on the center front. Did you see? Towards this side I took 0.75. Towards the other side I took 1.25, making it 2 inches. So on the down part, which is the length, I took ½ inch on both sides. On the down part, I took ½ inch on both sides and then connected my dart. So on the bust point, you come down by ½ an inch and then do your under bust contouring. Did you see that? So if you're on a plus size, you can come down by 1 inch from the bust point to connect your dart. I believe you understood what I explained. So the next thing is to mark 1/4 of your nipple to nipple measurement plus the 2 inches dart intake. On the waistline, mark 1/4 of your waist circumference plus 2 inches dart intake. And on the waist, on the length, mark up your 1/4 of your upper hip circumference plus that 1 inch intake, on that length, and then you want to go ahead and connect. So we are still going to be doing a waist snatching, like we are going to be cinching our waist, but that will be later. So on the shoulder line here, you want to divide the shoulder by 2 and then connect to the bust point. So the next thing you want to do is to get our upper, our upper chest. Like from the bust point, I went up by 3.5 inches. From the bust point, I marked 3.5 inches. So I'm going to be contouring this. So I'm going to be using 3/4 of an inch on both sides to contour the upper chest line, 3/4 of an inch on both sides. If you're a plus size, your bust is fuller, I will advise you use 1 inch on both sides, to give you that fitted look that you will want to get. So I went ahead to, connect it to the bust point, but 1/2 inch above the bust point. So I took 3/4 of an inch on both sides, making it 1.5 inches to contour my upper chest line. So the next thing is to take our bust dart. The bust dart is usually the difference between the front waist length and the back waist length. My front waist length is 15 inches, my back waist length is 14, so the difference is 1.5. So from the bust point, I came down by 1.5 and connected it back to the bust point, and that becomes my bust dart. Please take note of that. And the reason why your front waistline is longer is because of the bust. So the bust at the front would take more than the back. So that's the reason why your front bust is usually longer than the back. So you want to slit the bust dart open. You want to slit the bust dart open. So for you to close the bust dart, you want to open up this part. Did you see the part I'm opening up? Open it up and close your bust dart with your pin or masking tape. Go ahead and close it up. So when you are done on the shoulder now, we want to do like a shoulder tightening. So what you want to make a straight line, make sure that is that 1.5 inches. So on this part now, you take 1 inch. This is like a dart, very, very important. Take 1 inch like this and connect on this point. Did you see? And then that 1 inch that you took, you want to mark it back with a straight line. Did you see? That 1 inches I took as my dart on the shoulder line. You want to like remark it on the other side with a straight line, and then reconnect a new armhole. So that excess you have there will take care of the 1.5 inches we took as our dart. We are not meant to replace that dart up because the dart is a contouring dart, like a gaping dart. You don't need to replace it back. So that's a new armhole that you took. The excess you have around there will take care of that 1.5 inches dart. So the next thing I did was to connect my armhole for the bustier. So this corset you are working with has 2 parts. We have the bustier part, and we have the corset part, which is the funnel. So this is the bustier part. So this is why you see me connecting to the armhole. This is my bustier part. The bustier part. Now, did you see? This is the connection, the way you do your bustier. Let me use my marker pen and highlighting it. So you connect it to the armhole, and then this is your neckline. So this becomes the bustier part. So now we want to do the corset part. So let me just remark here, because of that closing of that on the bust point, you need to remark that point. So the next thing we want to do is to do our waist cinching. So I want to remove 4 inches from my waist. My waist is actually 26 and I want to remove 4 inches, making it 22. So that 4 inches you want to remove, you divide by 4. So anything you want to remove, if you want to remove 6 inches for your waist cinching, you divide the 6 inches by 4, it will give you 1.5. So if you divide 4 by 4, it will give you 1 inch. So on the waistline, get the middle point of the waistline, and then with a straight ruler connect. Did you see? You can come down here and mark 1 inch or 1.5 inches to connect this down part. Did you see that? And then you want to go ahead and connect. To get this line on the waistline, divide the what you have, the allowance you have, by 2, and that is where you're going to be getting the straight line. So this is for cinching. So I think I have around 1.25 inches there, the space. So you can also make a line around here. So we're going to be doing our waist cinching, and the waist cinching is 1 inch. We are taking 4 inches divided by 4 will give us 1. So on both sides of the waistline now, you take half an inch, and on this side you just take half inch. On the down part you just take half inch. So you want to connect like this. Did you see? And then this waistline, you want to link it up like this. So on the length I took only half an inch, but on the waistline I took 1 inch. That 1 inch is for the waist snatching or waist cinching. We are not replacing that back because we want to use it to cinch our waist. From the chest and the bust point line, you connect like this, and that half inch that you took on the length, you are going to do what? Replace it back, because on the length we are not cinching or snatching the waist on the length. Did you see that? So with my marker pen, I will go ahead and connect, and I believe you understood to this point. And if you don't, ask me your question on the comment section. Trust me, this is very easy and simple to make. So at this point, I'm trying to use my marker pen and I'm highlighting all this part for you to see it very clearly. So for the funnel part or the corset part, you want to, come down from the bust point by 1 inch, and then you do like something like this. So I'm starting it from the armhole. So there is no like any inches you are going to take. You can do whatever that works for you. Did you see it? Or is it a bit bigger around this point, like it went up from the armhole? Did you see what I did? So from the bust point, I just came down by 1 inch, and then from the armhole, I just make a U, like a kind of U neckline, and this will be the corset part. Did you see? So this will be the corset part. Did you see how very simple it is? So it's not really that like a big deal. Did you see? So all those shaded part, which is our darts, will be cut out. So what I will do now is to place another paper on the pattern paper and trace either the bustier part or trace the funnel, the corset part. Did you see that? You can just place your pattern on another pattern paper, trace the bustier part, so that you can have 2 parts for it. Do you understand? So now we go over to the back parts. So for the back part, we have the chest line, the waist line, and the length. So the chest line, so our back part is starting from the chest line. So you want to keep your tape and mark your 8.5 inches, which is the chest line. So my chest line is actually 8.5. So I started from 8.5, mark to the front, the back waist line. The back waist line is 14 inches. I mark to the 14 inches and then mark the full length. So the back full length will not be 22 inches like the front. The back full length will be 20.5, because the difference between the front and the back, the difference between the front and the back waistline is 1.5 inches. So you want to remove that 1.5 inches from the full length. So instead of marking 22, I marked 20.5. I believe you understood that. So the next thing is to get half of your back bust measurement. So for my back bust, I have 17 inches. Divided by 2 will give me 8.5. So on the chest line, I will mark 8.5. On the waistline, you mark 1/4 of your waist circumference plus your 1 inch for that. And then on the full length, you mark 1/4 of your upper hip circumference, and from the chest line you connect to the waistline, and from the waistline you connect to the you connect to the full length. From the chest line connect to the waistline, and from the waistline connect to the length. So the next thing is we're going to also be doing that the waist cinching on the back. So that's why we removed 1 inch from the front, and that 1 inch we remove from the front will make 2 inches. So we're going to also be removing 1 inch from the back, and it will also be 2 inches. So by the time we check everything together, we have removed 4 inches. So what you want to do is to divide the waistline by 3. Divide it by 3. So, and then you want to connect with a straight line. Divide by 3 and connect with a straight line. After you have finished dividing by 3, you take your dart of 1 inch. We know we added 1 inch as a dart on the waistline. You take 1/2 inch on both sides. This becomes your normal dart. Did you see that? This becomes your normal dart. Then you want to connect from the chest line to the dart, and from the waistline you connect to the full length like so. So the next thing is to take 1 inch for the waist cinching. So that 1 inch, I would be dividing it into 2. So I will take half from this point. Did you see? I will just take 1/2 inch from this point and take the other half from this point. Now that is from those side seam, so making it 1 inch. So this is the waist cinching. So instead of taking 1 inch on one side, I just took 1/2 inch on the other side, and I'm taking 1/2 inch from this point. So from the chest line you connect, and then reconnect to the full length. And then for this part, you want to also connect your 1/2 inch. Did you see? So with this, I've taken 1 inch for the waist cinching, and we have the normal waist dart. Did you see that? So the next thing is on the chest line towards the center back, you mark 1 inch, and on the length you mark 1/2 inch. This is going to be the opening at the back. So on the chest line I mark 1 inch, on the full length I marked 1/2 inch. So I will use my marker pen to highlighting what I have done. So you can go ahead and take any neckline of your choice, depending. You want V neckline, you want you want it rounded, go ahead and take the neckline of your choice. So you can use any measurement you want. So I just went ahead to do that. So I've taken my neckline, and with my marker pen I will go ahead and highlighting all the lines. So when I'm done, I will go ahead and label. This is the center back, this is the mid back, and this is the side back. So you need to label to avoid getting confused. So this shaded part will be cut out, which is a dart. We're going to be cutting it out, and trust me, this funnel corset is very easy, isn't it? I believe so. So I believe it's very easy, and if you have your question, don't forget to ask me. So the next thing is to go ahead and trace the front to another pattern paper, and then we'll move over to the cutting. But before that, I want to give you how this part is going to be. So from the waistline, I'm going to be coming down by 4 inches. That will be the length of my corset. From the center front, I will come down by 5 inches. From the waistline, I came down by 4 inches. And from the center front, I came down by 5 inches. That is how my corset will be. If you are very tall, you can use 5 inches. 4 inches is very okay, because you want the corset to stay very well. You don't want it to be, like, you want to be very comfortable wearing corset. So the next thing is that from the waistline of the back, I came down by 4 inches as well, and then connected to the back. Did you see? So that is for the length of the corset. So 4 inches is usually okay from the waistline, but then you can also, if you are very tall, you can use 5 inches. But for me, I make use of 4 inches. From my actual waist, I come down by 4 inches for the length. So that is what I did for the back. Come down by 4 inches and connect the corset. Did you see? So this is how my corset is going to be. So this is me trying to, cut out all these parts that I don't need for now. Did you see that? So you can use this and place it on the front, so that you try to place it on the front and try to remark everything. In case the side seam are not aligning, you try to do what? To align it. I think the back is a bit longer on the upper part, maybe by 1.2 by 2.5 inch. I will just go ahead and trace it out and cut it out. So this is what I have. I've gone ahead to trace the bustier part. Did you see? So I just placed my pattern paper and went ahead to trace the bustier part, just the bustier part, not the other corset part. The bustier part, add my dart and make sure everything aligns. So this is the bustier part. So this is actually what you need to do, and you can see this corset is very simple. Just go ahead, use your tracing wheel. I believe we know how to trace. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut. So this part now, this one I'm cutting the corset part now. This is me cutting the corset part. So I've cut out the corset part. You want to go ahead and cut the bustier part. So this is how we are going to be sewing it. Did you see that? So the bustier will be under and the funnel or the corset parts will be upper. So this is how we are going to be placing it to sew exactly. So I'm just showing you how, but there are other techniques you are going to be using to sew, the bust caging and all of that. But this is how it's going to be placed. I'm going to be placed it to sew. So I'll go ahead and finish my cutting. So when I'm done cutting, this is what I have. Did you see that? Very easy and simple. Did you see the bustier part, the corset part, the back part? So you want to label all of them. So for this bustier part, this part will be called unfold. So all the allowances I'm going to be adding on this pattern, both the side seam are going to be half an inch, not more than half an inch. And also this corset part here is going to also be on fold. Did you see that? Another part will be cut two pieces. I will add half inch on the upper part and the down part. So with this, you have come to the end of this tutorial. I hope you got value from this video, and if you do, please don't forget to like this video, leave a comment for me. In the next tutorial, we're going to be doing a well-detailed sewing of this corset. So thank you for watching and see you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.